So some of you listen to the radio. Maybe you used to listen to the radio before you hooked up to a Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, whatever you listen to now. Because obviously you're not listening to the radio, right? You know, I'm not even listening to radio myself. You know why? You know why I don't? Way too many damn commercials. Too many commercials. And it's not even the fact that there's even a couple of them. It's all the time. So I used to work for Clear Channel, which is now iHeartMedia, and I've worked for the radio stations. And I've obviously one thing I try to learn more than anything was cutting down the amount of commercials that we had on a regular basis because it was too many. And I know it was. Even when I worked for a Spanish radio station, I was helping out the program direct that station. I knew that the music I was playing on there, I needed to go and cut down the amount of commercials we had to play. And I was trying to only play what needed to be played in order to go and pay the bills. So getting that dynamic was really helpful for me when I had to go and figure all that out. But I'll tell you, it was really hard to go ahead and just try to, think about the fact of what are the ways to go ahead and try to get commercials off and try to make, when you have subscription services that take a little bit of money from you for no commercials. If you're trying to create a free model, then what is the amount of commercials that anybody listening to the radio station will tolerate? Because that's what it is now. Nobody does good commercials. There's no jingles. There's nothing about that at all. So what happens is we're hearing radio on the radio, and it's loaded with commercials. Every time you actually flip on a station, you're probably hearing commercials. There used to be a time in the 90s into the early 2000s where you used to have commercial-free hours. Well, you do have that now, but you used to have 18 songs in a row or 20 songs in a row or something like that. And you'd have these stations that would just play an hour and a half of music and it would cram a couple commercial breaks. But at least people would listen in because you had a long-standing set. We used to have mixes that were going on. We had songs that were being mixed throughout. You'd have to have that going for about 30, 45 minutes before you take a break because it doesn't feel good to go and just take a break 20 minutes in. It doesn't work. Now, talk radio you're never going to fix. But music radio, if you wanted to get that back, along with what I've always talked about, when it comes to the music, you try to update it. You try to catch the trends that are going on with streaming. There's no excuse as to why radio stations need to be second to none. They have to be second base when it comes to music. The musicians, the record companies should want radio to be a first place they can go to showcase their music. But no, they are the secondary tier. You're second best. You're second banana to the streamers and to YouTube. So music is being targeted towards YouTube, towards streamers, towards TikTok. That's what's making the records. Radio doesn't break any records. And one of the things they don't do either is they don't give you a reason to listen to music because too many commercials. So Randy Lane is a consultant that does a lot of work with a lot of different radio stations. He worked at KYSR in Los Angeles. He also worked at WKQX in Chicago, which where Robert Murphy came from, KYSR, and the folks like at K-Rock. So he worked with the likes of Ryan Seacrest, Jimmy Kimmel, the late Kid Craddock, who used to work at, KISS FM in Dallas. So he's worked with some really big names in his time. No question about it. He brings up an interesting story about do shorter stop sets work. Thank you for making a tongue twister, Randy. This is supposed to be radio. Come on now. You're supposed to be a consultant. Aren't you supposed to make it easier for to say things? I mean, I've been radio a long time, but even I have to go and slow myself down and say, okay, shorter stop sets work. Okay. Could have probably made it better, but that's okay, Randy. We'll go along with your story because you do bring up a good point. Now, he mentions how Howard Stern, on average, the commercial breaks when he was on terrestrial radio at the end of his run were at least 10 minutes long. Guaranteed 10 to 12 minutes long. And maybe you'd hear a commercial or two that was voiced by Howard, which was put at a premium. Because if I'm correct, you would have somebody trying to buy an ad with Howard listed on it, and it would just be a straight read with no music, nothing, just Howard's voice. I think it was $200 per 30-second spot. Like, it was a real premium compared to what you had to pay. So those days are over, he says, but discussions over stop set lengths are not. They're in fact heating up. Some music FM stations are reducing spot loads and guaranteeing shorter stop times. But again, we hear that. Sometimes we hear, oh, the music is back in 60 seconds. But it really isn't. Or there's just certain things where you can tell when you're going to commercial break. And that's one of the biggest problems. You know when a radio station is going to commercial. Hey, when we come back right here, Wow 100, we're going to come back with Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, and the latest from Doja Cat. Or you'll hear something that will say, hey, so we got this going on, find out more, wow100.com. And you know what it's going to be. It's a setup to the break. So when you're doing that, you're screwing it up. You got to get to the break snap fast, man. You cannot be waiting for that. And you can't be leading people to go and hear all of a sudden. So I personally think that the audio ads that you hear on radio, you got to change it up. One of the things I was thinking of was you don't stop the music, but you create sponsorships. You don't sponsor 30-second ads. You sponsor hours. And then the hours are brought to you by said sponsor. Like you already do things like where you're adding, the law offices of Steiner, Isco, and Green or whatever, or Fine or whatever it is now, or Morgan and Morgan, or, whatever it is, some Freeman injury law, some lawyer is going to go and plug, or somebody else is going to have a plug of these studios that are named studios for this particular channel, or the traffic center, or the weather center, or whatever it is, but that's only so many times. So that's why you need to have something where you're sponsoring, and you need to make the commercial breaks. I mean, honestly, you should drop in a blip of a commercial, about 15 seconds, 10 seconds, and that's it. That's it. 10, 15 seconds, boom, song, go. No more 30 seconds. No more minute commercials. No more ads for Flow and Progressive and Geico and all these that are just throwaways. Because nobody's listening to them. They're just bulked up because people have nothing else to put on in the ad inventory. Because the ad inventory is already big enough as it is. And I'm sorry, salespeople, but fuck off. This is the way people need to go and catch their music. You just need to be much more creative on being able to sell ads and not just giving to every damn lead that you have trying to go and make some money for your commission or to reach your quota, okay? Always amazing. If you go into a radio station, always look what the programming has for their furniture and equipment. They get the shit. Old stuff. Sales, brand new cubicles. I mean, it's just the way it is. They know what where their bread is buttered. Programming just gets shit, and they always have. It's just really weird. I mean, in the case they have to get their own headphones, they get their own equipment, or whatever they have to do. It's a bad way to do things. At least that's how it was when I was in radio. I'm sure it's still like that now. So now here's what's going on. The research shows that tune-out occurs at most transitions, particularly from content to commercials. So stopping for spots theoretically maintains more time spent listening, or TSL. So his company strongly advises talent to drop the preamble, calls, time. So calls, go ahead and calls right now, 550-9676 for your chance to win. You don't want to do that. Time, 25 under 5 right now in the city. We'll be back. And then you're saying taglines with the most music, while 95.5. You don't want to do that either. You want to take that all out. Just get to the point. Start with a hook headline to alleviate tune out when transitioning from music into content. According to Coleman Insights, which is another company that really charges a lot for you to see their information, they say longer commercial breaks equal higher audience loss. We didn't have to pay for a survey to get told that. I could have told you that 20 years ago. But again, nobody's worried about that. It's because the commercials are not relevant anymore. Nobody's listening to them. They're tuned out because the commercials are bad. They're not even done well anymore. There's no jingles. There's nothing special to it. You're not hearing the DJ adding to the commercial, adding some information as they need to underneath the bed for the jingle or whatever. It's just that. They don't have that anymore. And, when you don't feel like the music's flowing and you have a continuous flow of things going on, then that's what works. One of the people I worked with on the radio on the Spanish station, DJ Ray, of the Babalu Bad Boys, we've had this conversation before. And if he hears this, he knows what I'm talking about. Bro, he tells me, you show me how to take commercials out and show me a music radio station that doesn't have to play all the commercials. Maybe it's got a chance. And it's true. Because everybody wants to play commercials. And every music radio station needs to stop that. Even when I tried to go and do that on the Spanish station, I tried to make the breaks no more than 3 minutes. I tried. And to tighten up the commercial, sometimes you can't do because you're at the behest of the sponsor, who the salesperson is just allowing to go ahead and get them all the time they want to go and get their ad out there because they need to make sure they keep the deal. So if a car dealer wants 60 seconds, you get 60 seconds when you shouldn't have to. It's all these things that are going on. You just got to change things up. And honestly, you're just sending people to a website and not even sending them to an address anymore. And there's nothing in terms of any value to the listener if the listener hears the ad. Like, listen for promo code this and this. mention this ad for a free massage or free food or whatever. We're not hearing that either. So again, there's no incentive for the listener to hear the ad, nor is the advertiser offering anything to the listener to listen to the ad. So they're obviously going to tune out. There's nothing anything important for them at all. Because there's things that they don't want to hear about. Like they'd rather hear about, if there's a concert commercial, so those play off the very top. The Rolling Stones are in concert. Steel Wheels Tour coming live. Like you don't hear that going on because they're not doing that at all. There are no concerts right now. There's nothing to do. And then commercials for like, skin replacement or skin grafting or, what is it? Ideal image for like, removing spots or, a weight loss or LASIK. Do we want to hear all those commercials? No. Plastic surgery? No. But you hear them all the time. And what else is there? Like I hear no commercials for food. How about like, really elaborate, like, descriptions of food and like, oh, look, some fabulous stuffed gelato, Berea style, whatever. You don't hear anything like that. Nothing that entices the listeners to engage or to get some kind of a perk or any reason to listen to the ad. Where you can't hear a flow going, Progressive can really help you get your life in control with insurance. And then it's just some goofy commercial. That might work for television, but you're just doing the same thing for radio. Notice the Geico for Gecko doesn't come on the radio and do the commercials, or he does with a voice, and it doesn't have the effect. Not the same effect anyway. So you don't have cartoon characters, you don't have jingles, you don't have anything that works off of that. But that's what used to work. I mean, listen to a WABC 77 AM ad in any, just do a search on YouTube for any air check from 77 WABC. You'll hear jingles, you'll hear some really cool ads and just some fun, quirky kind of stuff because you tried to make the ads funny, make them fun, make them sing along so that you didn't feel like you were being taken away from the music. So the debate is, will 2 long stop sets maintain more listeners than 3 shorter stop sets? Well, what I tried to do was make it 2 stop sets, 3 minutes. That should be like 6 minutes of commercials, 50 minutes of music, and keep the music going for at least about half an hour. I mean, at least a half an hour, if you could do that. But nobody does that anymore. And that's what it used to be. I mean, I used to try to make it where, you start off an hour, play a song hot, go to about 20, 25, take the break, come back around 28, 29, play it all the way to about 50. And then you got a couple songs to play before you get to the next hour. And then you just run that next hour over and you're going for a while. But nobody does that. And I think it kind of worked because I thought the audience was actually picking up. But then the new guy that came in to go ahead and buy the station out, he wanted to put 3 stop sets with, 3 or 4 minutes of commercials. Plus he talks a lot. Chat, talk heavy. And I think it just turns people away. But maybe he's trying to do something really community-wide and trying to get people engaged. So it's kind of like a talk with a music format, light music, but that's his deal. Whatever. Not my cup of tea, but I guess if it works for some Spanish stations, that's fine. Whatever. So any commercial break strategies, he says, the 2-minute promise sounds like a solid idea if your station or company can pull it off and still be profitable. So if he's talking about 2 minutes of commercials and say, now he's trying to say what? Do it 2 or 3 times an hour. I mean, I think you can't, 8 minutes of commercials is too much now. You have to make it 6 or less. And personally, I think if you make the ads where they're sponsored throughout the hours, I think it works better. You offer commercial-free hour sponsored by, or you make hour sponsored by period. And then you make multiple sponsors sponsored by. But you're not stopping the music. You take away a liner that identifies a station and you put an identifier in it with, this hour of 195.5 is brought to you by Freeman Injury Law, 1-800-411-PAIN, whatever. And then just go. But all the other stuff that's going on with that, we have to cut that out. Cut it out. Or if you're going to have it, the DJ needs to mention it. So it blends in. That's the only way it works. Back into the story here. It's a win from a ratings perspective to stack huge numbers of commercials into 5 and 6 a.m. hours where the cumulus is low. And run only 1 or 2 short stop sets in the prime 7 and 8 a.m. hours. So the idea is, in morning shows, they usually try to go ahead and put out a lot of commercials in the first half of their morning show. And part of the thing is because the morning shows, if they're starting up at 5 a.m., which I can't get why they're starting at 5 a.m., but they do, or 5:30. The idea is they're still trying to get some of the things put together, so they just put some small segments, put some music in, and then add all the way through. And then 7 to 8 p.m., 8 a.m. hours, you put 11 ads on there. But then all they're doing is talk. And gossip. Oh, look, Kendall Jenner's new product line. Look what she did here. Oh, look at this person. Oh, look at what Reese Witherspoon did. Or, oh, look, Matthew McConaughey's hot. He got with this girl. Whatever. We don't want to hear about Ben Affleck and Anna de Armas. We don't want to hear about the latest thing with Cardi B unless it applies to the music. But if it's just some straight up gossip bullshit, no, we don't have to hear that all the damn time. And then not only bring up the story, but then have to talk about it for a while. And then hear these sanctimonious, out-of-touch morning show people that don't even stay up to watch award shows or TV shows or keep up with things. They're all Netflix types, so they don't even know what's going on with anything. They're out of touch. Their producers have to fill them in what's going on. So you can tell, oh, hell yeah, you heard about that TikTok. How about that TikTok? Morning show, morning zoo. We're wild. We're crazy. We're zany. Here's our stunt guy going out. He's going to go out and do something stupid naked. No, we don't want it anymore. This is over. Please stop booking like it's the 90s, okay? So here's what they're saying. Randy Lane says if you're in a diary market, which means if you're in a major market or in a market where you have ratings being determined, excuse me, yawning a little bit here. It's just I'm working it late. What can I say? So if your commercial load is 10 minutes or more, I would opt for running 3 or 4 shorter stop sets. So he's saying 2 minutes for, I've tried that before. I've heard people do that before. The Monsters in the Morning at Real Radio in Orlando. I remember they used to do 9 minutes of content and 5 minutes of commercials. What a nightmare. I don't know anybody who can listen to that. Now, the Love Doctors, who used to be on the same station as them, because for a while, the Monsters of the Midday used to run on Real Radio, which is WZZR in West Palm Beach. And when you have all the programming on WZZR run where they do 2 stop sets that are like 8 minutes, 10 minutes long, and you have Monsters of the Midday that ran 9 to 5, 9 to 5, 9 to 5, I mean, I can't handle it. It's just too much. Way too many commercials. Way too many. And some of them being repeated. For what? Because they paid for it, sure. But you just can't give away $1 a horror. You have to put more value in your ads, in the ad placement, and you got to put more value on the ads. And if you can't get them to buy, then goodbye. You have to just be more creative then. But you can't keep going back and saying, well, it's more about the quantity of the ads that you get, Mr. Consumer, Mr. Car Dealer, Mr. Restaurant, Mr. Whatever. No, it's in the quality of people actually hearing the ads. Because then you think we're going to just catch people that are time spent listening to TSL. They're just going to catch those ads at the front or back, or they're just going to happen to catch it when they're getting back in their car. It doesn't work anymore. Time to change all that. It's also worth considering in PBM markets. So PBM markets or larger markets, diary markets, are those that are reported on quarterly. PBM is reported on monthly. That's the difference. So it's also worth considering in PBM markets with personality morning shows because the show is stopping more often any way to execute content. The key to holding listeners in that situation is deliver attention-getting teases before commercials or traffic reports that will compel people to listen. They already do that. Oh, coming up, we're going to talk more about the latest information with the latest gossip of this, the latest celebrity sleaze. Luke, who got all dressed up for the Met Gala. We can't talk about that. We can't see what they're wearing. Did you see what she was wearing? We don't know. Let's talk about The Bachelor. Let's talk about, American Idol. No. What are you talking about network TV for? Nobody's talking about that. Nobody's watching. What's wrong with you? And I blame the prep companies that do all this shit for these morning shows. This morning show prep, it's bullshit. And then on top of that, the morning shows, I'm sorry, guys, you got to do your own work. You got to be more creative than just take the stuff that the prep people give you. That your station is paying hundreds of dollars, a day for. For what? And that's why they make you syndicated. That's why they drop shows that are local with some personality, and they drop it for syndicated. You know why? Because you got to be able to go ahead and cut. And you have to fight for less commercials. You got to fight for content that's not the same old like everybody else. But seriously, ads would be a good place to start for music radio. Then change the music. Get with the times. Get with the music company or the record companies. Get with the labels. Get with the artists. Start playing music at the same time like everybody else.